Hey guys, what is up when it comes to reviews? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special one. Today we look at George Best, his prime card, and oh my god, am I a fan of this guy. This guy might be one of the very best. He's definitely in there in my top 10 best dribblers of all times in football. This guy was an amazing player, arguably the best player ever to play for Manchester United. Today we look at George Best and look at them stats right there. Absolutely incredible. Great pace, great dribbling, great shooting, great passing, and very good physicals in the sense that his stamina is really good as well. Of course, strength and aggression, I wish they were a bit higher, but let me tell you something, George Best, what a player. What a player. I've always said this guy in FIFA is a better version than Lionel Messi, and Messi is such a hard player to beat. But I just tell you one thing, George Best is magnificent in this game. He really is something very special. I'd like you to watch all the review if that's possible, because George Best scored some of the most amazing goals for me. Honestly, he is such a delight to use. Now, what did I like about him? Great pace. His dribbling, oh my god, just amazing. He's so hard to stop. I kid you not, his dribbling is on another platform. And then of course his shooting as well, very clinical. You know what, this guy epitomizes that word, clinical. He just finishes the ball every single time. His attack positioning, let me tell you, it is marvelous. He knows where to be at the right time, so he could slot that ball back into the net like nobody. George Best, take a bow, what a player you were. Also, another thing I really liked about him, and this is really weird, like when he loses the ball, he'll go running back for it, and it clearly shows you his aggression is really high. But on his base stat, on his actual stats, it looks really low. But I don't know why, but George Best has always been one of these players for me that, in a sense that he'll get the ball back, he'll even intercept, believe it or not. And let me tell you, if there's one man who can destroy your team, is George Best. Your job when you have George Best is to give him that ball. Now, where do you use him? Do you use him out wide? Do you use him in strike? I'll tell you one thing. I've always been a big fan of George Best, but ever since he came out into FIFA, which is FIFA 17, pro players have always used George Best as a cam, and I actually agree with that. He fits the bill perfectly as a cam, and he does a marvelous job. You could also use him up in strike, left strike. Okay, you can utilize his finesse shots, which are amazing. So it's up to you how you want to use George Best. This card doesn't really have any weaknesses per se. The only really thing that comes to mind is his strength. But I tell you one thing about George Best, I'm not sure you're going to get hold of him. He's going to do you for pace. He's going to do you with his 4-star combination, skills and weak foot. Or he's going to dribble past you. So getting hold of George Best is no easy feat. It's actually really difficult, because he is a marvelous player. Somebody who has everything to his game in abundance. Like, I just spit it out for you right now. Great pace, great attack positioning, great shooting, great finesse shot, great composure, great passing, amazing dribbling, the Iceman when it comes to finishing, great long shots. There's nothing that this card doesn't have. You know, it is fantastic, and it is a lot of pressure. It is a lot of pleasure using a player like George Best. Like, put it this way, when you play over 1,000 or 2,000 games on FIFA, you sit there and you think, you know what, I can't be bothered playing. But people like George Best make you want to play the game even more and more. And that's why his price is so high, is because he's got that replayability factor about him. And I think that's really important. How enjoying a card is to use, how much enjoyment did you get using a certain card. And I think hands down George Best was so much fun to use. Honestly, he's one thing that I really liked about him. Like I said, he also as a cam pushes back, and he also intercepts for you, so he can make tackles as well and get the ball, which is a really rare thing, which in my opinion is one of the things he does better than the great Lionel Messi. But of course Messi is a lot cheaper than him. Now I was very lucky to get George Best for 1,899. Now I can assure you he's more than that. He goes for around 2.1 million coins. So I actually bought him like a whole 200k cheaper. Okay, so I was really lucky, and I bought him just before. I bought him just before the promo came out, and I think a lot of people panic sell and stuff like that. So they panic sold him, and then they panic sold him, and I bought him up. So I bought him. I thought it was I was really fortunate to pick him up really cheap. Honestly, fantastic card. I have to give him a 10 out of 10. Who dares doesn't give George Best, okay, a 10 out of 10. I need to talk to them because this is his prime and it is amazing. But there's one question. How is Rashford 5-star skills and George Best isn't? How come there's some players in this game like Zidane who's 5-star? Shouldn't George Best be 5-star skills? That is the question I want to ask you guys before I end. Thank you very much for watching this review. Please like and subscribe. And Georgie Best, you are one of the very, very best.